Welcome to Stamps Old World UK, the place where we dive deep into the fascinating stories, history, and value of stamps from around the globe. Today, we are going to explore a very interesting American postage stamp, the 1-cent green stamp featuring Horace Mann. This stamp has become a point of curiosity for many collectors, both beginners and experts, because of its historical value and its place in the U.S. Definitive Stamp Series. In this video, we will talk about the history of the stamp, who Horace Mann was, why this stamp was issued, and, most importantly, what its market value is today in dollars. The 1-cent Horace Mann stamp was issued in 1940 as part of the famous American series, which celebrated great figures in American culture, education, literature, and politics. Horace Mann, who is depicted on this green stamp, is known as the father of American public education. He was a reformer who believed that universal education was the key to developing an informed citizenry and a stronger nation. His appearance on this stamp was not just a tribute to his life, but also a reminder of the importance of knowledge and education in shaping societies. Because of its strong historical significance, the stamp has remained a collector's favorite for over 80 years. Now, let's talk about its appearance and design. The stamp is printed in a distinct shade of green and shows a finely engraved portrait of Horace Mann in the center. Below the portrait, you can see his name clearly printed, while at the bottom middle is a lamp of knowledge, a classic symbol associated with learning and education. On both sides of the lamp is the denomination, showing its face value of 1 cent. Around the top edge are the words United States Postage, emphasizing its official issue. This strong and elegant design has helped it stand out as one of the most respected stamps from the 1940 famous American series. Collectors often ask about the availability of this stamp today, and it is important to note that while the 1-cent Horace Mann stamp is not considered extremely rare, its value depends heavily on condition. Stamps that are unused, with original gum and no damage, tend to command higher prices compared to those that have been circulated or show signs of wear. A mint-condition stamp with clean perforations, sharp color, and well-centered printing is what collectors are always after, and these examples are far more valuable in today's market. So, what is the value of this stamp in today's market in dollars? On the lower end, used copies of the Horace Mann 1-cent stamp are usually worth around 10 cents to 50 cents depending on their condition. However, mint condition examples with full gum, bright color, and no flaws can sell anywhere between $1 and $5 on average. Stamps that are graded as extremely fine or superb, especially those in pristine mint condition, can even reach prices up to $10 or more in specialized auctions. If you happen to own a block of 4 or a sheet of these stamps, then the value increases further, as collectors often seek larger multiples to enhance their collections. One thing to keep in mind is that stamp values are not fixed like coins or paper money. The value of a stamp depends on collector demand, rarity of condition, and current interest in the market. While the Horace Mann stamp is not one of the highest priced stamps in the United States, its value lies more in its historical and educational importance. Collectors appreciate it because it is part of a large series of stamps that honored some of the greatest contributors to American life and culture. Owning this stamp is like owning a piece of history that connects you to the development of education in America. If you are thinking of selling this stamp, you can usually expect to get a small but fair price if it is used. However, if you have one that is mint, well-preserved, and perhaps even certified for quality, then you could attract the attention of serious collectors who may be willing to pay above the average market value. For collectors who simply enjoy building complete sets, the 1-cent Horace Mann stamp is essential in completing the famous American's collection, which increases its long-term desirability. In conclusion, the 1-cent green Horace Mann stamp may not make you a millionaire, but it does carry a value that extends beyond dollars. It is a reminder of America's investment in education, a tribute to one of the most influential reformers in history, and a cherished part of the stamp collecting world. In terms of monetary value today, you can expect anywhere from a few cents for a used stamp up to several dollars for a high-quality mint example, with rare, superb conditions fetching even more. It is a great stamp to own if you want to add historical depth and cultural richness to your collection.
Next up, the 1-cent green Washington Irving postage stamp. This stamp is part of the famous American series and has been admired by collectors for decades, not only because of its design, but also because of the legacy of the man it honors. In this video, we will take a closer look at the history behind this stamp, who Washington Irving was, why he deserves a place on American postage, and of course, we will also discuss its value in today's stamp collecting market in terms of dollars. The 1-cent Washington Irving stamp was issued in 1940 as part of the famous American series, a collection of commemorative stamps designed to honor the most influential figures in American history. Washington Irving is widely regarded as America's first internationally recognized author, known for his timeless literary works such as The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Rip Van Winkle. His influence on American literature was so great that it helped establish a uniquely American voice in storytelling at a time when literature was still heavily dominated by European traditions. This stamp was created as a tribute to his immense contribution to American culture and literature. Let us take a moment to appreciate the design of this beautiful green stamp. At the center is a finely detailed engraved portrait of Washington Irving, framed elegantly with ornate scrollwork. His name is clearly inscribed below the portrait, while the top of the stamp proudly bears the inscription United States Postage. In the lower corner, you will see the denomination of 1 cent, marking its original face value. The design captures both simplicity and elegance, ensuring that it remains recognizable and attractive to collectors even after more than 80 years since its issue. The green color chosen for this stamp gives it a classic appearance, and its engraving highlights the craftsmanship of early 20th century stamp design. Collectors often ask whether this stamp is rare or valuable. And the truth is that while it is not considered one of the rarest U.S. stamps, its value depends heavily on its condition. Used copies that have been postmarked and show signs of circulation are fairly common and tend to sell for only a modest price. However, mint condition examples that retain their original gum, show strong color, and have well-centered perforations are far more desirable. Collectors place a premium on stamps that look fresh and untouched, and the 1-cent Washington Irving stamp is no exception. Now, let's talk about its value in today's market. A used example of the Washington Irving 1-cent stamp typically sells for around 10 to 20 cents, depending on how heavily it was canceled and whether the design is still clear. On the other hand, mint condition examples are much more appealing to serious collectors. These can range from $1 up to $5 on average, depending on the quality of centering, gum condition, and overall preservation. If you happen to have a superbly centered mint stamp, graded at extremely fine or higher, its value can go above $10 in specialized auctions. Complete sheets, blocks of 4, or particularly high-grade certified examples can command even more, as these are sought after by collectors aiming to complete high-quality sets. While the monetary value of this stamp may not make headlines compared to ultra-rare issues worth thousands or even millions of dollars, its true worth lies in its cultural and historical significance. Owning this stamp is like holding a small piece of literary history in your hands. It connects us to Washington Irving's legacy, his pioneering contributions to American literature, and the era when the United States was beginning to define itself on the global stage through art, education, and storytelling. Collectors around the world appreciate the stamp because it is part of the larger Famous American series, which itself is a cornerstone in U.S. philately. For those who are interested in selling this stamp, keep in mind that collectors are always willing to pay more for examples that are in pristine condition. If you own one that is unused, well-centered, and perhaps even graded by a professional service, then it can fetch higher prices than the usual market average. For beginners who are just getting into stamp collecting, the Washington Irving 1-cent stamp is an affordable entry point that also carries a story of great cultural importance. In conclusion, the 1-cent Washington Irving stamp is a beautiful and historically rich collectible. While its market value today typically ranges from just a few cents for used stamps to several dollars for mint condition examples, it offers far more than monetary worth. It is a tribute to a legendary figure in American literature, a symbol of the nation's early cultural achievements, and an important part of the famous American stamp series. If you already own one, you have a valuable piece of literary history in your collection.
Next up, the United States in 1933 to celebrate one of the greatest exhibitions of the 20th century. This is the 1-cent green Fort Dearborn stamp, released during the Chicago Century of Progress Exposition. This stamp is not only a collector's piece, but also a historical treasure that connects us to the story of Chicago's growth, American innovation, and a milestone World's Fair that drew millions of visitors. Today we will explore the history behind this stamp, the story of Fort Dearborn, its design, and of course, its value in today's stamp market in terms of dollars. The 1933 Century of Progress Exposition was held in Chicago to celebrate the city's centennial anniversary. It was an event designed to showcase technological advancements, architecture, science, and industry during a time when America was struggling through the Great Depression. The fair symbolized hope and progress for a brighter future, and it attracted visitors from across the United States and the world. To commemorate this grand occasion, the U.S. Post Office issued several special stamps, one of which is the 1-cent green Fort Dearborn stamp. This stamp immediately captured the attention of collectors and fair visitors because of its symbolic design and historical significance. The design of this stamp is both elegant and meaningful. At the center is an engraved depiction of Fort Dearborn, a frontier military post that played an important role in Chicago's early history. Built in 1803, Fort Dearborn was a symbol of American expansion into the western frontier. By 1933, the fort no longer stood, but its legacy was remembered as a foundation of Chicago's development. The stamp captures the fort surrounded by trees, with its blockhouse structure prominently displayed. Above the image are the inscriptions 1833 and 1933, marking the 100-year anniversary of Chicago. Across the top are the words U.S. Postage and Chicago Century of Progress, while at the bottom the denomination of 1 cent is clearly shown on both sides of the central image. The choice of green for the color was deliberate, matching the 1 cent value and ensuring it stood out among other commemoratives of the era. Now let's talk about availability and value. The Fort Dearborn 1-cent stamp was issued in large quantities because it was part of a set designed for wide distribution to commemorate the fair. As a result, it is not considered extremely rare, but condition plays a huge role in its market value today. Used examples with cancellations are quite common and are often found in collections for just a few cents up to 50 cents each, depending on clarity and preservation. Mint condition examples, however, are more desirable. These typically sell for around $1 to $3 on average. But well-centered, pristine stamps with original gum can fetch higher prices, often in the range of $5 to $10. Collectors particularly value this stamp when it is part of a complete set of Century of Progress stamps. The series included other denominations, such as the 3 cent, and additional designs that commemorated Chicago's progress. A complete set in mint condition can be worth significantly more than individual stamps, sometimes reaching $20 to $50 depending on quality. For those who have first-day covers from 1933 featuring this stamp, the value can be even higher, as first-day covers hold a special place in philately for their historical documentation and collector appeal. While its monetary value is modest compared to ultra-rare stamps, the Fort Dearborn 1-cent stamp has a cultural and historical significance that makes it a must-have for serious collectors. It is a beautiful reminder of the 1933 Century of Progress Exposition, an event that symbolized resilience, hope, and innovation during one of the most difficult economic times in American history. It also serves as a tribute to Fort Dearborn, a symbol of Chicago's beginnings on the western frontier. Collectors who specialize in U.S. commemoratives or World's Fair memorabilia particularly treasure this piece. If you are considering selling this stamp, the most important factors to consider are its condition, centering, and whether it is mint or used.
A stamp with clean perforations, vibrant color, and original gum will always bring in more interest from buyers. While used copies are easily accessible, high-quality mint examples or special covers connected to the Exposition are where the greater value lies. For beginners in collecting, this is also an affordable and accessible stamp that carries a fascinating historical story, making it a great addition to any growing collection. In conclusion, the 1933 1-cent Fort Dearborn Century of Progress stamp is a commemorative issue that tells the story of Chicago's centennial, America's resilience during the Depression, and the celebration of progress in science, technology, and culture. In today's market, you can expect to find used copies for under $1 and mint condition examples ranging from a few dollars up to $10 or more for superb quality. Sets and first-day covers raise the value further, making this stamp both affordable and historically meaningful. Its beauty, symbolism, and connection to one of America's great World's fairs make it an essential collectible for philatelists worldwide. Thank you for watching Stamps Old World UK. If you enjoyed learning about the Fort Dearborn Century of Progress stamp, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into historic and rare stamps from around the world. Leave us a comment to let us know which stamp you'd like us to feature next, and share this video with fellow collectors who would enjoy uncovering the story behind this 1933 commemorative issue. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your albums continue to grow with stamps that carry the spirit of history and progress.